What happens when a Hollywood legend, once loved by every major studio, suddenly decides to turn his back on the entire system that made him famous? What makes a man who conquered Hollywood say, never again? This isn't about a small disagreement or a bad contract. It's about betrayal, trust, and one actor's shocking realization that the industry he gave his life to might not have ever really been on his side. This is the untold story of how Johnny Depp walked away from the studios that built him and why he might never go back. For more than 3 decades, Johnny Depp wasn't just an actor, he was a force. Every film he touched seemed to carry a certain unpredictability. He was different, fearless, eccentric, and that made him magnetic. Studios loved that about him. He wasn't the usual Hollywood star who smiled for cameras and followed the formula. He was strange, mysterious, unpredictable, and it worked. From Edward Scissorhands to Jack Sparrow, Depp turned weirdness into box office gold. Every major studio wanted a piece of him. Disney had him leading their billion-dollar pirate franchise. Warner Bros. Brought him into their wizarding world. He was the golden ticket, the safe bet, the kind of actor whose name alone could greenlight a movie. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. Behind the fame, the awards, and the carefully built image, the cracks began to show. Depp was no longer the studio darling, he was becoming a liability, at least in their eyes. The rumors, the headlines, the legal battles, they all began to pile up. The media frenzy surrounding his personal life became louder than his movies. And in Hollywood, perception is everything. It doesn't matter how talented you are if your name starts to make executives nervous. It all came to a head when one of the biggest studios made a quiet but devastating decision. They asked him to step down from a franchise he helped define. He'd been working with them for years, committed to their world, and then, almost overnight, he was out. He wasn't fired publicly. The wording was polite, professional, almost cold. But the message was clear. You're too much trouble. You're not safe anymore. For Johnny Depp, it was more than a business decision. It was betrayal. After years of loyalty, countless millions earned for them, the studio decided to cut him loose when the storm got messy. That moment changed everything. When Depp later spoke about it, his tone wasn't angry, it was exhausted. He said he was asked to retire, as if being quietly pushed out was somehow a favor. But it didn't feel like one. It felt like the system he'd served for decades suddenly decided he was disposable. And if that wasn't bad enough, the silence from other studios was even louder. No one wanted to take a risk. His name, once a guarantee of success, became a question mark. And that's when he began to see Hollywood differently. Not as a dream factory, but as a business that pretends loyalty exists until it costs too much. He called it what it was, a boycott. He said openly that he felt boycotted by Hollywood. And whether you agreed with him or not, you could hear the frustration. Imagine spending your entire career building a reputation as one of the greats, only to watch the same industry that praised you suddenly pretend it never knew you. The same executives who toasted your success at red carpet premieres now avoided your calls. The same studios that begged you for sequels now claimed creative differences. That's not just professional disappointment, that's personal heartbreak. And then came the real shock. When fans began to speculate about his possible return to some of his biggest franchises, Depp made it clear that he wasn't coming back, not to Disney, not to the ones who turned their backs when things got hard. Rumor has it he even turned down massive offers that could have revived his most famous role. For most actors, that kind of money would be impossible to ignore. But for Depp, it wasn't about money anymore. It was about respect. He'd given these studios his best years, his creativity, his name, and in return, they treated him like a PR problem. So why go back? He understood something that many stars never do. Once the mask drops, once you realize how easily Hollywood replaces people, you can't unsee it. It changes you. It makes you question every handshake, every deal, every fake smile. And for Depp, it was a wake-up call. He realized that the power wasn't really in their hands, it was in his. The studios needed him far more than he needed them. Without his charm, his unpredictable magic, their franchises were just empty costumes and CGI. He knew that walking away would hurt them more than it would hurt him. But this wasn't just about vengeance or pride. Depp was also rediscovering what he loved about acting in the first place. Away from the billion-dollar machine, he started doing smaller films again, projects that focused on storytelling instead of marketing plans. Independent directors, European producers, real creative freedom. No executives breathing down his neck, no franchise committees rewriting his lines. Just acting, pure and simple. And that's where he seemed to come alive again. For the first time in years, he wasn't performing for box office numbers. He was performing for himself. People who've worked with him on these smaller projects say he's different now. Calmer, more focused, even happier. It's almost ironic. The studios thought they were ending his career, but maybe they set him free. When you've already been through public humiliation and survived, there's nothing left to fear. He's no longer chasing approval. He's building his own world. Producing, directing, even writing. The same studios that once controlled his image are now watching from the sidelines as he rebuilds it piece by piece. Still, you can't ignore the magnitude of what he's doing. It's rare for someone of his level to walk away from major studios completely. These companies are used to calling the shots, and when a star defies them, it sends shockwaves through the system. Insiders started asking, what if more actors followed his lead? What if others stopped tolerating the silence, the fake apologies, the quiet cancellations? Johnny Depp might have been pushed, but he didn't fall. He pivoted, and that makes him dangerous because now he's unpredictable again. The shocking part isn't just that he refused to work with those studios. It's that he doesn't seem to need them anymore. His fan base followed him out of the system. They didn't buy the corporate statements or the PR spins. They stood by him loudly, relentlessly. Millions of people online made sure his name never disappeared. That kind of support is something studios can't buy or control. It gave him leverage, real power, the kind that doesn't come from contracts but from people. Every independent film he does now gets global attention simply because his name's on it. Every festival appearance becomes headline news. He's proof that fame doesn't die when the studios close their doors, it just moves somewhere else. And yet, behind that resilience, there's still a hint of sadness. Depp once said he used to believe in the magic of Hollywood. He believed that art and business could coexist, that talent could survive politics. But after everything, that illusion shattered. He started to see the darker side, the hypocrisy, the fear, the way narratives are built and destroyed depending on who benefits. He's spoken about how the entertainment industry has become more about image management than art. For someone like him, who built a career on being authentic, that was unbearable. He didn't want to be part of a system that values controversy over creativity. And it's not like he hasn't been offered chances to return. Certain producers have hinted that the door is always open, that the past could be forgiven. But every time he turns it down. Because how do you go back to the people who turned their backs when you needed them? How do you walk onto a set knowing the same executives who once dropped you are now pretending to welcome you back? Depp's refusal isn't just a career choice, it's a statement. It says, I won't forget how you treated me when the headlines got ugly. It says, I choose self-respect over fake forgiveness. What's fascinating is how his stance has shifted the narrative. Suddenly, he's not the one being questioned, the studios are. Fans are starting to ask why corporations with billion-dollar resources can't stand by their artists when times get tough. Why loyalty only flows one way. And the irony is, the very industry that tried to bury him might have accidentally exposed itself. Because in pushing him away, they revealed how transactional their world really is. Now Depp's rebuilding not through press junkets or blockbuster deals, but through passion projects and music and art. He's reclaiming his story. In interviews, he said that he finally feels like himself again, that he's done trying to fit into an image someone else built for him. He doesn't owe anyone an explanation anymore. He's not asking for redemption, he's already moved on. And maybe that's the most shocking part. Because Hollywood expects its fallen stars to come crawling back. They expect desperation. But Johnny Depp didn't crawl. He walked away with his head high. The deeper truth here is about power. For decades, the studios held it. They decided who was marketable, who was safe, who was brand friendly. But now the internet has changed that. Audiences can speak directly. They decide who they want to support. And when millions rally behind someone like Depp, no studio blacklist can stop it. That's the real disruption, and maybe that's what scares them most. The idea that a single actor with enough loyalty and resilience can exist entirely outside their system and still thrive. Still, this isn't a fairy tale ending. Depp's path now is harder, more uncertain, filled with creative risks. Independent films don't have the marketing power of studios, but they have something better, freedom. And for him, that's worth more than any franchise deal. The work he's doing now might not earn billions, but it's authentic, it's honest, it's his. And that might just be the real reward after everything he's been through. So when you hear that Johnny Depp refuses to work with major studios again, don't see it as bitterness. See it as liberation. It's the story of an artist who realized that Hollywood's promises were conditional and decided to write his own rules instead. He's no longer waiting for permission to exist. He's already proven he can survive without them. And in doing that, he's inspired millions of people who've ever felt betrayed by the institutions they trusted. Maybe this is what true rebellion looks like, not smashing guitars or shouting slogans, but simply saying, "No, I don't need you anymore." In a world obsessed with image and approval, that's the most radical thing a person can do. Depp has always played outsiders, misfits, and dreamers. Maybe he's just become one in real life, and maybe that's exactly where he belongs. In the end, the studios might still hold the money, but Depp holds something far more valuable: authenticity. And in an industry built on illusion, authenticity is the rarest currency of all. He might never headline another massive Disney or Warner Bros. Film again, but he doesn't have to. Because at this point, Johnny Depp isn't chasing Hollywood anymore. Hollywood is chasing him, and that's the shocking part. The man they thought they could cancel has outlasted the system itself. His refusal isn't weakness, it's strength. It's proof that sometimes walking away is the boldest move of all. Because when you've already lost everything and found peace on your own terms, what's left to fear? Johnny Depp has answered that question with his silence, his independence, and his art. He's moved on, and maybe it's Hollywood's turn to catch up.